Oopsies, I gotta fix some things. You what? Let me know if the game's music is too loud. So, I'm going to off-camera grind for Genshin, but until I off-camera uh-oh. Okay, so I'm going to off-camera grind for Genshin, but until I off-camera grind, I'm not gonna bore you guys with more grindy stuff and with more laggy stuff. Let me tweet out that I'm live. Ba, ba, ba. Uh-oh. Why is Twitter always weird? There we go. Almost finished getting everything set up. There's always gotta be a layer of scuffness, no matter what I do. We're summoning gay people! Last time we played this game, to sum up, our friends suck and pressure us all the time, and also we had seen a dead body, so we were like traumatized. Gay people! So like, we see a dead body of like an old lady and flash forward and we're home alone, all girls sleepover with our besties, but our besties suck and they peer pressure. So they peer pressure us to go in the house of the dead lady we saw and we have like PTSD, but then we see a cute girl and I think she's a ghost, I don't know. I don't remember any of the voices I did, so they're probably gonna change a lot. The girl sighed and shook her head. I think your so-called friends are calling for you. Right. You're right, but, I was wondering something. What? I wanted to know, what's your name? The girl's brow furrowed. You don't know? That's interesting! I have a theory, but I'm gonna save it for later. Her name is Apple Pie! Of course! Why wouldn't it be? Should I? The girl opened her mouth, ready to respond. But at the last minute, she seemed to think better of it. She closed her mouth, her lips pursed together, and frowned. Then, after a small pause, Althea. I beg your pardon? That's my name, silly. You can call me Althea. Althea. So, okay, I am not saying my theory yet, but something I want to point out is I mentioned before, the main character had seen a dead body by accident. It was like a sweet old lady who lived next door. The main character's name is Aspen, but the old woman would always accidentally call her Althea, which is the name of the freaky deaky girl. So just keep that in your mind when you're making your theories on who this girl could be. Anyways, this is an annoying bitch and I hate her. What in the world were you doing in there, Aspen? From apple pie to Althea isn't so different. Both start with an A. Yeah! I read a little ahead in this story, so I was like pretty much close enough to her name. Pippa rounded on Aspen the moment they returned to Aspen's bedroom. She rounded on her? What does that mean? According to Aspen's digital clock, which sat on her bookshelf, it was 0:14. I should have done this stream earlier in the day. Well, I couldn't because I was at school, but before I had Connie, my British expert here. I don't speak British, I'm American. Past midnight. The expedition to Miss Lay's home, or what had once been her home, and Aspen's discovery of the strange girl that lurked within it, had transpired in less than half an hour. To Aspen, however, it felt like a small century had gone by. It never said you could catch Rufflet. What? Okay. I wasn't doing anything in particular. Literally, fuck off, yeah. Nothing in particular? Pippa raised an eyebrow. You were doing nothing in particular in that house for ages. Maybe she just didn't want to deal with you, Pippa. You were in there for almost 10 minutes. Had it only been 10 minutes? Aspen had been sure she'd been inside Miss Lay's home longer than that. But maybe that was because she'd been so entranced by that mystery girl, time had slowed to a crawl. 10 minutes isn't that long. Maybe not, but it felt like forever. Were you trying to make me feel guilty? Bestie, I think you just feel guilty. I think you're just a bad person. I think you just feel guilty for your actions. I wasn't. And that was true. Aspen really hadn't wanted to make Pippa feel bad. She wasn't that vindictive. However, Althea's words continued to weigh in her mind, though Althea herself was gone. Can you really call them your friends? All of a sudden, the gross unfairness of the situation impressed itself, with newfound clarity upon Aspen's mind. It really wasn't fair, she thought, that Pippa was scolding her like an unruly child, especially when she'd only gone in that stupid house because she'd been bullied into it. So what is she scared, Pippa? Pippa deserved to be scared. Finally, she's speaking some truth. Finally! Maybe it would teach her a lesson. Aspen drew in Aspen drew in a breath, straightening her shoulders, and said with newfound confidence, You know what, Pippa? What? Are you going to apologize? No, I'm not, and I don't see why I should. If anybody should apologize, it's you. Huh? Pippa stared at Aspen as though she'd grown an extra head. For context, Aspen is very shy, pushover type of girl. In conclusion, Pippa killed someone in secret. Yeah. Honestly, I think the old lady's death was Pippa's fault. I know she had a heart attack, but I don't care. Pippa caused that heart attack. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack if I have to listen to another word from her. What are you going on about? I mean, everything that happened tonight is your fault. I didn't even want to go in that house. I only did it because of you. You forced me into it. You pushed me through the window, and I landed in a load of broken glass. I cut my hand and I broke my phone, and now you're acting like I'm the one in the wrong because you're scared you went too far. Well, I'm sick of it. I'm not going to apologize so you can stop feeling guilty. God damn. Damn, man. Kill her, Aspen! Yeah! Make her a ghost. I think you should feel guilty for once in your life. Maybe it'll help you grow up. Besides, Aspen gave Pippa the best withering look she could manage. It wasn't particularly effective. Aspen hadn't trained herself in the art of disdain, unlike Laki, but it was a respectable first attempt. Truth or Dare is a stupid game. I don't want to play it with you ever again. Damn, she kind of went too far with that one. I'm joking. Truth or Dare, man? Don't you dare insult Truth or Dare. You can tell her that she should feel guilty for once in her life, but Truth or Dare, man, come on. I still haven't forgiven you for putting me in the washing machine. We kill Pippa and use her blood for the resurrection ritual for the ones who died by Pippa. I hope that's how this game ends. I hope they kill Pippa. And there's also another friend, and even though she's not as annoying as Pippa, she was a bystander, so I say kill both of them, but use mostly Pippa's blood, and bring back the cute girl, and then they can date. Bam! We figured it out. I still haven't forgiven you for pushing me into the washing machine. You could have killed me. Yeah, guys, if you weren't here for last stream, Pippa literally, when they were younger, pushed her into a washing machine. So yeah. If I'd been a little unluckier, you could have finished me off today. Aspen turned her back on Pippa, arms folded. She didn't want to look at Pippa, or Lockie for that matter. Neither did she want to listen to Pippa's angry, self-righteous spluttering, or her half-hearted attempts to defend herself. She'd had enough. She wasn't going to let Pippa push her around. They were both 16 now, for goodness sake. They were finished with secondary school. Oh, secondary school, stupid British people. They were finished with secondary school. They were going to start attending sixth form college in a couple of weeks. I don't know what sixth form college is, stupid British people. They were too old for all this nonsense. All of a sudden, Aspen felt incredibly tired. So, I do love this game, but the reason why I hadn't finished this game myself, because you know, this is a Yuri, usually I'd finish this in a day or less, is because sometimes it gets so old watching Aspen get pushed around. Like, she just kind of, and I don't, like, blame her, like, you know, she's pretty much bullied, like, I feel bad for her, but, like, as a writer, I feel like they could have maybe cut out a few parts of her getting pushed around. The previous night had been awkward, to say the least. After her little outburst, Aspen had wanted to distance herself from Pippa and Lockie as much as possible. That, however, had proved to be rather difficult, given both girls were sleeping over at her house, and neither would be returning home until the following morning. It had been too late for them to call their parents for lifts home, and much too dark to walk back. Taking a taxi had been a possibility, but Pippa had no money on her, and Lockie distrusted people who drove others around for a living. I feel like Lockie's a little classist. That feels a little classist. Left with no alternatives, the three girls had spent the night at Aspen's house, none of them talking to the other, all lost in their own respective silences. Aspen had been relieved when Pippa, her pink face flushed with embarrassment. Hi, Mushy! Oh my goodness, welcome to stream! I'm so glad to see you! How are you doing? Aspen had been relieved when Pippa, her pink face flushed with embarrassment and anger, had stormed out of her bedroom and spent the night on the living room sofa. Lockie had opted to stay in Aspen's room, curled up on Pippa's old airbed. Lockie had opened her mouth and tried to speak on numerous occasions, but, unable to swallow her pride, she had swallowed her tongue instead. Lockie had never been very good at apologizing to others. Oh, yeah, I'm so happy you made 20 streams, so I'd say it right now. You're so sweet! I'm so glad you made it too! She was so haughty, almost regal in her mannerisms, that Aspen sometimes wondered if she regarded herself above silly things like manners. After all, Lockie's older brother Kunal lived in Karnataka, and he'd been in a few movies. Lockie was related to a celebrity. Oh, the community, it's so cute. I know, right? At least, that's what she always said. Aspen, who had never seen any Indian films and didn't know what Lockie's older brother looked like, had to take her at face value. It had been a very long, awkward night where everybody thought a lot, but nobody dared to speak. Mushy, to catch you up on what's going on, basically, this girl has poopy friends, and her poopy friends pressured her into doing something she didn't want to do, and for once in her life, she stood up for herself. The things I miss since I don't interact on Twitter. Oh well, things happen. Twitter is both a lovely place and a horrendous place, so be glad. Be glad. Oh, good for her. I know, right? Aspen had done more than enough speaking already, and look where that had landed her. Pippa was angry with her, and Lockie wasn't talking. She'd managed to alienate her two closest and only friends in the span of a single night. If they were unable to patch things up, Aspen thought, this could be the very last sleepover she ever had with her friends. But there was little sleep to be had beneath the roof of the Draper household that night. Oh well, Aspen had tried to console herself. She was too old for sleepovers anyway. Man, if you got friends like those, I think you're better off without friends, honestly. Besides, she'd been well within her rights to scold Pippa. Pippa deserved it. She'd had it coming for a long, long while. Unfortunately, Pippa could be incredibly vindictive towards those she considered her enemies. She could even be vindictive towards her so-called friends. Aspen lay awake that night, relentlessly wondering what Pippa would do to her when they started college in September. I forgot to mention the worst part of it. She didn't just pressure her into doing something, but she literally pressured her into going into an extremely traumatic place for her where she found a dead body and pushed her through the window of it. I'm in my 20s. Literally, you're never too old for sleepovers. If you have good friends, then sleepovers are literally... There's no age for sleepovers. Would she be the target of stray spheres of solder and spiked volleyballs? Imagine being invited to sleepovers. I've only been to enough to count on both my hands, but they are so fun. Oh my god. Would she be the target of stray spheres of solder and spiked volleyballs? Aspen hadn't signed up for woodwork or PE, but Pippa's spitefulness knew no bounds, and she wouldn't put it past her. When the following day dawned, Aspen felt nothing less than relief. Pippa's mother came to pick her up at 11 o'clock, and Lockie's father arrived half an hour later. At long last, Aspen had the house to herself. Finally, she could be on her own. But there was nothing she particularly wanted to do. She'd stay awake most of the night, and now she didn't have any energy. Bone tired from yesterday's excitement, if it could be called that, Aspen lay down on her bed beneath her purple covers decorated with stars and moons. So pretty. Then she fell fast asleep. She's a pretty girl. When Aspen finally awoke, it was to the sound of the phone in the downstairs hallway. Though the noise was muffled and far away, it was shrill enough to make Aspen's head hurt. She felt like her skull was full of rocks, and the mere action of forcing herself out of bed was a huge chore. For some reason, her body felt horribly awkward and lethargic. Just what time was it anyway? Girlie, look outside. I think it's, a little late. Blearily, she looked at the clock on her shelf to learn it was almost 7 in the evening. Damn! How had it gotten so late? While Aspen pondered this, her alarm clock blinking in the darkness, the phone downstairs continued to ring. Aspen yawned, tears beading in the corners of her eyes, and brushed a few loose strands of hair behind her ear. Even this felt like more trouble than it was worth. She wanted nothing more than to lie back in bed. As Aspen sat there, drifting between the border of sleep and wakefulness, the phone downstairs gave one last final ring. Shut up, Pokemon bot! Silence reigned. Whoever it was had evidently given up. Was it a salesperson, perhaps? Shut up, Pokemon bot! Literally! Somebody from... I'm a 5-year-old. Somebody from Virgin Media? But wasn't it a little too late to receive business calls? Oh well, Aspen wasn't going to trouble herself with it. Evidently, it wasn't very important. Aspen forced herself out of bed, stretching, and ran her fingers through her unbrushed hair, which must have looked like a mess. Then she exited her room and padded down to the kitchen. She hauled a ready-made shepherd's pie out of the freezer. According to the sticker on the package, it was one of Sainsbury's finest, and had just pierced the plastic film on the lid when the phone started to beep again. So, it wasn't a salesman. In fact, now that Aspen had managed to shake off some of the sleepiness that still clung to her, she had a pretty good idea who was on the other end of the line. It was obvious, really. Is it Ghostface? Is it Ghostface? Is this going to become a horror game? Who else would have been very desperate to speak to her? Could only have been her parents. Though it was hard to gauge by the regular ringing of the house phone, they were most likely frantic. Oh, it's not Ghostface. Abandoning the knife and the shepherd's pie on the kitchen counter, Aspen backtracked to the hallway and approached the phone. Shut up, Pokemon bot. She surveyed it for a few minutes, anxious, her face pale. Well, paler than usual. She already knew what her mother would say, even before her fingers curled around the plastic case of the phone. What does mother sound like? Aspen? Aspen, oh God, is that you? Where have you been? I've been ringing for hours. It wouldn't have been hours, of course, more like half an hour, but Aspen's mother could be quite dramatic about these things. Aspen was her only daughter, and she was a small, shy, sallow-skinned kind of daughter, and Penny felt it prudent to protect her. I relate. I'm a small, shy. I don't know what sallow-skinned means, but I'm a small, shy daughter. Penny hadn't wanted to go on the cruise without her daughter in the first place, even before the Miss Lay debacle, but James had talked her into it. The two of them had booked the tickets, Penny reassured that her daughter would be fine on her own, just fine. And then Aspen found Miss Lay's body. That would make any parent worry. Aspen winced. It wasn't as though she disliked her mother. In fact, it was quite the opposite. But she did find her fussing a little extravagant. I understand. My grandma fusses a lot. She is very sweet, but can over worry, and it can be hard not to get annoyed. But with people like that, of course it's okay to be annoyed, and of course it's okay to set boundaries if you need to, but, try your best not to snap at them. If you're having, a conversation about it, that's completely fine, but I've learned from experience that they may seem annoying, but they just kind of care about you and show it in weird ways. Oh, little piggy pig! Penny had sent Aspen a barrage of text only yesterday, asking her how she was and if everything was alright, and if she'd eaten any of the quiche that was left in the fridge. Couldn't her mother go one day without contacting her? And why did she need to use the house phone of all things? Aspen didn't know how much phone calls from the sun-kissed Mediterranean to the dreary, drizzly UK cost, but she didn't need to. She was sure her mother was spending a small fortune. Why couldn't her mother text her, for goodness sake? Girlie, you broke your phone. You broke your phone? But, Aspen reflected, that was no longer Slay. Her phone was quite broken after a nasty fall, and the screen was cracked in dozens of places. Aw, welcome to the Pokemon, Mushy. The stupid thing wouldn't even turn on. If Penny had texted Aspen, and Aspen was sure she had, she would have had no idea. Just how many texts had her mother sent to the void, doomed to be unread? Aspen didn't want to think about it. She didn't have to. She knew the moment she picked up the phone, her mother would tell her. Aspen? Oh, Aspen! Penny's voice, a touch distorted by static, emerged from the speakers, every bit of panicked as her daughter had feared. Aspen, is that you? No, it's the murderer, Lamile, your daughter's dead. If Aspen had been a sassier sort of teenager, like the ones in Skins, am I a sassier sort of teenager? I'm sorry, Aspen's mother, it was a joke. She probably would have raised an eyebrow and asked, who do you think it is? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Aspen, however, didn't have a sassy bone in her body. I'm sorry, girlie. Instead, she bowed her head demurely, took a seat on the bottomless stair step like a naughty child, and said, Yeah, it's me, Mom. Well, thank goodness! So, wait, so we are the murderers? I thought it was a meme. No, there are no murderers. There's no murders in this game. No one. The only person who's dead is an old lady, and she died from natural causes. But we can dream. A girl can dream. Penny exhaled deeply, her relief so palpable Aspen swore she could feel her fringe ruffling. Do you know how many texts I've sent you today, you dozy girl? Didn't you check your phone? No. 12 texts! I sent 12, and you didn't reply to any of them. Why didn't you let me know you were alright? I was worried sick. I had a few problems. Problems? What do you mean? Penny's voice rose in volume until it was so shrill it reminded Aspen a little of a boiling tea kettle. What happened? Pippa didn't make you play any of her stupid games, did she? I hope you didn't hurt yourself. Oh, no, I'm not hurt. Not that hurt, at least. Aspen's palms were still grazed from her fall yesterday. She had a bruise on her knee, but she didn't tell her mother that. Ignorance was bliss, as they said. Well, that's one less thing to worry about. See? What did I tell you, Penny? Aspen could hear her father's voice in the background, a touch muffled but still audibly self-satisfied. James fancied himself as a practical man. He was forever reassuring his wife whenever she struck with one of her silly fancies. This game is very British. Our Aspen can look after herself. Excuse me. I never said she couldn't, James. I just worry about her, that's all. Isn't that what mothers are supposed to do? You're a wonderful mother, dear, but you're on holiday. You should spend every waking hour looking at your phone. Or wait, you shouldn't. You should not do that. I was like, wait a minute, you should spend every waking hour looking at your phone. Look at the ocean. You shouldn't... Oh, calm down. You shouldn't spend every waking hour looking at your phone, waiting for Aspen to reply to your text. Don't be ridiculous. I can't take a break from being Aspen's mother, even if we are on holiday. And I'm still wondering about that, Aspen, dear. Why didn't you reply to any of my messages? It's just, my phone. Yes, what about it? Penny's voice was sharp and harsh, suddenly suspicious. It wasn't that silly Pippa girl, was it? She didn't do anything to your phone, did she? Why would Pippa... Whoa, I cannot speak. Why would Pippa do anything to our Aspen's phone? She's Aspen's friend, isn't she? No, she's not. She's just a bitch. They might be friends, but that didn't stop Pippa shoving our daughter into our washing machine. I always process Pippa as Peppa Pig. Pretty much, honestly. Peppa Pig if Peppa Pig sucked. They are British, so she's Peppa Pig. That was years and years ago. I'm sure Pippa's grown up since then. You are wrong, James. She has not grown a single bit. I wouldn't be too sure. Penny's voice was dubious, and for good reason. That's my favorite word, dubious. Chronic worrier though she might have been, Penny had good cause to worry about Aspen and the company she kept. I'm gonna take a little bit of a water break. Stay hydrated, y'all. Okay, slay. Aspen was such a shy, retiring girl. I've never heard that used in that way. Aspen was such a shy, retiring girl, while Pippa was so brash and loud, that Penny suspected Pippa often took advantage of her daughter. It wasn't that Pippa was a bad person, not entirely. She could be remarkably thoughtless at times. Okay, agree to disagree, bestie. I think Pippa is the worst. If you ask me to make a top 5 list of people who I want to punch the most, Pippa would be on that list. What happened during your sleepover, dear? Pippa didn't do anything silly, did she? You're always picking on Pippa, Penny. Let the lass alone, why don't you? I can't, James. Not until I get to the bottom of this. Aspen, are you still there? No, she's dead. Yes, I'm here. What happened, dear? Won't you tell me? Yeah, she'll tell you once you stop speaking. Let her speak. Well, about my phone. Aspen bit her lip and looked at her feet. Damn it, James, let her kill Peppa. Exactly! Not Peppa, Pippa. I need to stop calling her Peppa. She's not Peppa Pig. She was wearing the same pair of black socks she'd worn yesterday, and the day before that. There was a hole in one of the toes. Holy toe. If her mother could see the state of her socks, Aspen knew she'd be in for a scolding. But Aspen reflected with a sigh. Her mother would scold her all the same when she learned what happened last night. If Penny knew her only daughter had broken into Miss Lay's home, she would never hear the end of it. See, that's actually like a valid thing. With parents, it's very important to let your child feel safe telling you things, because otherwise they're not going to tell you things. Like, something my mom's always told me is that if I'm at a party and I'm drunk or I'm staying out late, even if I'm breaking a rule, even if I'm high or something, and I don't feel safe, to call her. If I need to be picked up, even if she told me not to stay out that late, even if I'm doing something I shouldn't be, call her. She'd much rather me get home safe and alive and nothing happen to me than go scold me about things I do than have me not trust her. Which she knows I wouldn't drink or get high in the first place. I don't even go to parties. If Penny knew her only... Oh, wait, I already said that. It was probably that best, then, to be a little economical with the truth. It's broken. Broken? Yes, that's right. But you've had that phone for years, and you've never had any problems with it. It was supposed to last. If she'd had it for years, maybe it's time she got a new one. Be quiet, James! Yeah, shut up, James! No one asked for your opinion, James. I'll be damned if I listen to a man with an unwashed ass, James. Aspen hardly uses her phone. What does she need a fancy one for? Besides, a brand new model will just get pinched. I do love Aspen's mom, but I kind of feel like Aspen's such a shy girl that, like, everyone around her is kind of pressuring her into everything, and I feel like her mom tries to help her with that, but instead ends up pressuring her. It's like if, like, you had friends that pressure you into things, so someone pressured you into not being friends with them. Like, like, it's a good thing, kind of, but also don't pressure people. And older models will break after so long, dear. Rubbish! Phones don't just break, not on their own. How did it happen? It wasn't Pippa, was it? It was an accident. Don't you dare cover for Pippa. Pippa sucks. Well, I'd hope it was an accident. So, tell me, did Pippa want to try some stupid stunt she'd seen on YouTube? Did she drop it down the stairs or into the sink? That sounds like the sort of thing she'd do. It wasn't that, Aspen's mind raced as she tried to think of a suitable excuse. How could she fob her mother off? Oh my god, that's so British. Wait, I gotta look up what that means real quick. Fob. Definition. A chain attached to a watch for carrying in a waistcoat or waistband pocket. I don't think that's a right definition. British slang. An immigrant who has newly arrived? How could she immigrant her mother? Oh! Well, I don't think this is the word they meant, but that's not a good word, and I'm sorry I said it. I don't think that's the one they mean. I think it just means, like, how could she, like, lie to her mother? Oh my, okay, anyways. Maybe something like... We were doing cartwheels in the garden, and I didn't realize my phone was in my pocket. I'm kind of making her sound like an anime dude. I'm just so shy. It fell out and hit the ground, and then it stopped working. It wasn't the most convincing of excuses. It seemed unlikely Aspen's tenacious brick of a phone wouldn't survive such a fall, but it was the best Aspen could come up with. There was a long, unpleasant silence on the end of the line, broken by the sound of static. Aspen shifted on the stairs, her head resting against the banister and her dark hair falling over her shoulders. Her mother was angry. That much was painfully evident, even by, or especially by, her silence. Eventually, after a pause, "Cartwheels?" "That's right, cartwheels." "And why on earth were you doing cartwheels in the garden? Aren't you a little too old for that?" "Shut up, Pokemon bot, no one cares." "Well, Oh, don't be such a killjoy, Penny. Aspen's only a teenager. You know, teens will be teens. Honestly, I'm kind of on the father side here. I don't like the phrase teens will be teens, but like cartwheels, there's no age for cartwheels. Like, what about gymnasts? Gymnasts are old. Don't take that out of context. Sorry, I didn't. That's not what I meant. "I don't believe it. Aspen's never been into sports. She wouldn't do cartwheels in the garden for no good reason." "She did go to ballet, Pen." "Yes, and look how well that turned out." "Okay, Penny. Too far. Don't insult your daughter. I insulted gymnast, but don't insult your daughter." Aspen winced. She knew her mother had her best interest at heart. At least she hoped she did. But her words could be rather cutting at times. "After this phone call, I sadly need to go." Aspen knew she hadn't been very good at ballet, but she hadn't been that terrible, had she? "And why were you doing cartwheels?" "Wait, don't answer, let me guess. Pippa put you up to it, didn't she?" It was a dare." "A dare? Of course it was." There was another heavy sigh at the end of the line. "Good grief! This is like the Charlotte situation all over again." "Charlotte? That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Didn't she go to Aspen's ballet class?" "For a while, yes. Don't you remember her? She was a simpering little thing. I think she fancied herself as the next Shirley Temple. At least her mother certainly did. Glad to be shot of her, but Pippa might be even worse than she was. So, your phone, it's totally broken?" "That's right. The screen's all cracked and it won't turn on." "Well, that's all we need." "Though I can't text you, I'll just have to call you every day on the landline. The Lord knows how much that will cost. I shudder to think how much I've spent already." "Oh no, you don't need to do that. I'll be fine, I promise." "You say that, but we've only been gone a couple of days and you've already broken your phone." "She had it for years, Pen. I'd say it's high time she got a new one." "And you're paying for it, are you?" "I don't see why not. It can be a present since our Aspen did so well in her GCSEs. "We already bought her a present. We got her that laptop, remember?" "Well, what's another present for our favorite daughter? She did get straight A's. I feel like Penny's voice has changed like 30 times. "I got a B in French." "Don't make it worse, girl. You're not helping your case. French doesn't count. You don't want to go to France, do you?" "Not really." Aspen could barely navigate the streets of Scarborough, and she'd lived there her whole life. She didn't fancy her chances any further afield than Philly. Oh, what the... British people. "Well, there you go. You did well in all the subjects that matter, and that's why we're gonna buy you a shiny new phone when we get back from holiday." "What do you think about that,
Thank you, Dad. I appreciate it."
That's the spirit. Don't sound so down. Chin up, chicken."
Right. I'll do my best.
"Make sure you don't let Pippa goad you into any more silly games while we're gone. You're too old to monkey around."
Oh, I don't think that'll be a problem. Pippa probably won't come over anymore.
"Why not? I thought Pippa was your best friend."
We are, or were rather, but... Aspen sighed. We had a bit of a argument.
"You argued with Pippa?" But you never argue with anybody, Aspen. I am so sorry, but I think I'm gonna have to end it here. This phone call is going on a little longer than I expected. Overwrite my save, yeah. Thank you so much for everybody who joined. I am so... Uh-oh. I gotta go. Thank you so much for everyone who joined. Bye-bye. I will probably next time I'll be streaming doing polls for Yao Yao, but for now I'll have to grind. See you guys later.